friends, Crystal of Oddly Endearing here, and this is the second episode of Vintage is All Get Out, the interview series. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Mandy of Thrifty and Blessed 1975. Hi, Mandy.
Hello. How
Hi.
are you?
I'm great. How are things in Chattanooga?
Good, good. Everybody's staying in, so the grocery shelves are empty like everywhere else, and everything's closed, much to my teenage daughter's dismay. But
Lots of really good family time, though, right?
exactly. Playing vintage board games.
Yes. So I know you work a job outside of selling. What do you do?
So I do work full time for Unum. It's a local insurance company. We sell disability and life and dental insurance, and I work on the proposals. So it's business to business. So if a large employer wants disability insurance for their company or their employees, they come to us, and we underwriting takes care of the numbers, and I take care of the words.
Cool. So I guess you're able to work from home right now.
Yes, yes, we actually are. I'm on my lunch break right now, so.
Awesome. So do you consider yourself a hobby seller?
Um, I wouldn't say hobby just because I feel like that means it's just mainly for fun, and I do take it very seriously. And I probably put in as many hours here doing the vintage thing
Yeah.
uh as I do in my real job. So
Yeah.
um I'm pretty into it.
That's awesome. I was the same way when I first started. I still had my full-time job for 6 months before I gave myself a 6 month timeline. And so I was working full-time and full-time. So it can be a lot, but it's also very rewarding.
Yes, absolutely. This one, my other job, fortunately, is very rewarding too.
Good.
'Cause I work with some great people, but this is this is my jam. This is where I really just am myself. I am around things that I love and finding things that I love. So
Yes, I agree. I love everything you have behind you right now.
thank you.
You have
Thank
like
you. We actually just relocated our den upstairs because my son is at UT Knoxville, and they have sent everyone home, and they're going to be finishing up the semester at home online. So we had to get rid of our den downstairs. So here we are.
making room.
Yeah.
Cool. So when did you start selling?
Actually, I started selling in about August of last year. Um,
Yeah.
it was just a new adventure. I had no idea that people sold on Instagram. And I'm like, I think probably a lot of us, I got into YouTube, and I discovered people like the Crazy Lamp Lady and Circular Vintage and things like that. They have regular videos. And um, it was actually an interview with Circular Vintage that made me realize that Instagram was a good platform to work on, because I had tried selling on Etsy and had no sales, none. So, so I was really happy to learn from her on Instagram, and then, of course, joining Team SSVS has been awesome because I've learned so much from everyone. So it's been a great adventure.
Yeah, I think you really took the trajectory a lot of us did because we all had the idea of, ooh, go sell on Etsy.
Yeah.
And you just wait and wait and wait and
Yep.
nothing happens
Yep.
unless you pay them a lot in promotional fees.
Oh, and now I have actually done paid a few promotional fees for Instagram, like for some of our bigger sales and things. So hopefully that has helped.
Oh, cool. Good. I've never tried one like that. I've only ever done them on Etsy and had no luck.
Yeah. Yeah. The ones on Instagram are pretty cool because you design it the way you want it, and
Oh, cool.
um it's actually fairly cheap, and it hits a pretty wide range. I've actually seen a lot of new customers by doing that. So
Yeah, maybe I need to give that a try.
yeah.
So what brought you to, you said that like vintage is your passion, you love it. Why? Why do you love it? Was there a certain piece that started it or?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I've always been a vintage soul. I grew up listening to 50s and 60s music, and, watching TV on a big old TV on a TV cart, rolling cart. So that was fun. so I've always kind of been a vintage soul, but actually I found a piece. I think my mom took me to an estate sale, which was the first I had ever been to, so that was fun. And I found actually one of the Avon perfume bottles that was the girl, and it was one that I had had on my shelf when I was a girl. And I had completely forgotten about it. So it was like, oh my gosh, I so remember that. So then I went out and was looking at eBay and and Mercari and things. And I actually ordered more than I was selling at that point. I was ordering because I was stockpiling the Avon bottles. But so it just kind of it started out as recreating my childhood. I had a great childhood and a lot of good memories, and so recreating those is what started it all.
Absolutely. The nostalgia feeling. I think that's what keeps us
Exactly.
going. Yeah.
Exactly.
So do you collect anything currently specifically?
Yeah. Um, Wall art. I love vintage wall art of all kinds. The gay philosopher back here is one of my favorites. My grandmother used to have him hanging on her wall, and hopefully I can find the other pieces. I've got the daughter, but I still need the wife and son. But um, so I love vintage art. I'm a Holly Hobby enthusiast, which actually, funny story. When I was a baby, I was bald until I was 2, and my mom got tired of having to respond to, "Oh, your little boy's so cute." So she handmade these Holly Hobby bonnets, and all of my pictures from my childhood I've got on these stupid Holly Hobby bonnets. So needless to say, I've always related to Holly Hobby. So I collect her. Of course, everybody has a Pyrex collection. Mine is the Country Festival, which was in 1975, which is when I was born. So that one, and of course, Spring Blossom. So
Cool. I was the same way as a baby. My mom would always complain that everybody would say, "Oh, what a cute boy!" So she started dressing me in all pink and lace, and like, no, I wouldn't leave the house without some pink and lace on. So
yep,
people would know this is a girl.
exactly.
So funny how much it impacts parents to
You
care.
bet.
Yeah. So where does your username come from? Thrifty and Blessed 1975.
Okay, another slightly embarrassing funny story. When I went to set up, I had my personal Instagram account, but when I went to set up my business Instagram account, I think it was like the autofill kicked in as I was filling out the form, and when I submitted it, the name was actually 1975, just 1975, which is my year I was born.
Yeah.
So that probably was an autofill thing. And when I went to change the name, it wouldn't let me take 1975 out because because it was a business. Something about the customers might not be able to find you or something. So I had to leave 1975 in, which is fine. And so the real part of my name, which is Thrifty and Blessed, is because I am definitely a thrifting fool. I love to go out junking and picking and just have a blast at that. So pretty thrifty. And then also I'm just blessed beyond measure, just in my life, and I love it. And I'm, want the world to know that I'm blessed, and I really am appreciative for that. I love things in my life, the people in my life, and um,
That's
so there you
wonderful. Wonderful. So speaking of thrifting, where are your favorite places to find stuff? Where are your little hidey holes that you find the best stuff?
go. Actually, I am in a small town called Soddy Daisy, which is really redneck sounding, but it's
Okay.
outside of Chattanooga, but it's still considered Chattanooga. But we have a couple of little thrift stores here that I love going to, that really, you can find some good deals because they honestly, I don't think they know what they have sometimes. Because, for example, my gay philosopher back there on the wall, I think I paid $5 for. So and it was out on eBay for 50 and 70. So I'm like, okay, yes, I'm picking this. Um, so primarily thrift stores. I do visit some estate sales. Estate sales, I tend to get more of what I'm personally collecting, rather than stuff to sell because it can be kind of pricey still. And I'm venturing into auctions. We have a couple of local auctions around here, and I found some fabulous stuff. I had a lot of success at the last one. And that's a lot of fun. I just have to watch myself and keep myself in
Are they
check.
in-person auctions?
Yeah,
Oh,
in
I've
person. Yeah,
never been to an in-person auction.
I
I
haven't
buy
either
at
this
local
last year.
online auctions all the time.
Yeah, one of my best friends lives in Kentucky, and they invited me up to go to one that they have every Friday night, and I just loved it. And I was like, we need one of those. And then come to find out there are two here that actually three here. I haven't made my way to the third one yet, but so I've
Yeah.
recently discovered that and love it. But like I said, I have to keep myself in check because when you're buying $5 and $10 things, it's like, oh yeah, bring it on. I'll take that. I'll take that. And then you go and check out, it's like over $200. It's like, oh, what
Oops.
did I do? How am I going to pay for this? And where am I putting all this stuff until it sells?
Yeah, there is one auction house near me that I know of, but every time they advertise, it's only big furniture pieces, and I'm like, I don't want to go. I can't
Well,
buy any of that.
if it's like the ones here, that's actually kind of a misconception because I think that's what they do publish, but they've got all kinds of stuff. When the one I went to most recently, I walked out with, and this will be coming to Instagram soon. Speaking of Avon bottles, I bought a whole box full of the car perfume bottles from Avon. I mean, I think there are like 15 in there for $5. I was like, this is kind of cool. But they did have a lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff, smaller stuff, because that's what I do sell is more of the smaller stuff.
Shippable. Um,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, when I first started, I was so cautious about not buying anything too awkward to ship, and I would always talk to other more seasoned sellers, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'll ship anything now." And it's true. The longer you ship, the more confident you are about, I'll ship anything.
Yes, and actually, I learned a great tip recently, from Megan about using some of the other platforms
Mhm.
that have the cheaper selling. I mean, the shipper. I can't talk. The cheaper shipping rates.
Yeah,
To actually redirect your customers there to buy it from you there, and it ships a lot cheaper.
yeah, yeah. There's
Um,
where there's a will.
exactly. So I'll put the bigger stuff, on those sites, and still advertise them on Instagram. But I usually sell the bigger items on Mercari or Let Go, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done the same with even Poshmark now. Now that they have the home market, sometimes it'll be a little bit cheaper because up to £5 to go into the West Coast for
Yeah.
still like 7.95, I think. Like,
I need to look into that because I actually haven't looked into the Poshmark thing because I never really got into clothes, so I have not experimented in that. So
yeah. I
we'll have
did
to check.
did vintage clothes. I actually started with doing vintage clothes when I was in college. That's how I supported myself for a couple years, just selling vintage clothes on eBay. So when I started my business, I was like, oh, I'll get back into that. But I hated it. 'Cause,
Well, see, now where I find my vintage clothing is we're actually, my sister and I have been, mainly my sister, but we've been helping my parents clean out their attic. So I'm finding all of my childhood clothes that they still saved. So I'm finding a lot of goodies and treasures up there.
Yeah, well, I know there's a big market for vintage children's clothes on Instagram for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and some of those, like, oh my gosh, there's so many pieces that people post, and I'm like, why isn't this in my size? It's the cutest freaking thing.
Or the flip side, you're looking at it going, oh my gosh, did I actually wear that to school?